After 26 novels, the best-selling Master of Suspense, Linwood Barclay, is still finding new twists and ways to shock us.
The Canadian author who counts Stephen King among his fans is back with a brand new thriller. Here it is right here, Not a Word. And Linwood Barclay is back with us here on TMS. Always good to see you. Good morning.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Last time we talked, you told us that you wait for inspiration to hit. So what was the inspiration behind this book?
I think it was the opening. There's the opening chapter in this book. It's about a guy who goes to his parents' house to drops by unannounced. No one answers the door, and he goes in and he comes upon a pretty horrible scene, which appears to be a murder-suicide, that he has lost both of his parents like that. And even before the end of the chapter, there's a pretty big twist. But this leads, I think that scene was kind of the starting point for me for this book. But then I started thinking about sort of the underlying foundations and what was really going on and the backstory. And that led me to thinking about that whole big OxyContin scandal and the Purdue Pharma and all kind of stuff, and how you had a company that was willing to, let people become addicts because they were just making so much money they just couldn't stop themselves. And I thought, there's a lot of motives in something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where it kind of was the starting point.
Then you have your protagonist being a TV journalist who loses his job, right?
Yes. Okay,
so all these pieces, do they come at different times to you? Are you jotting notes?
There's a lot of stuff sort of comes as I'm writing. I mean, before I start a book, I want to know the big picture. I want to know who's done what. I kind of like to know where I'm going to end up. But I don't see sort of the opportunities that exist in a book until I kind of get into it. But once I get in there, I think, yeah, what's this guy do for a living? And what can I do to just make his life horrible? And, just sort of keep throwing one sort of crisis at him after another. So a lot of those things kind of come as I'm going. I know authors who spend like literally months and months sort of planning and plotting and figuring out a book. I spent a couple of weeks, sort of thinking, how's it going to go together? Here's the big picture. And then I just think, I'm just going to start writing.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my background is 30 years in newspapers, and you didn't have the luxury of spending a couple of weeks thinking about what you would put in your column. You had to just get to work.
So that must have helped.
Well, I think that working in newspapers really helped in sort of two ways. One is deadlines are everything. You never miss a deadline. And you don't look upon the work as it's not full of sort of romanticism and waiting for the muse to strike. Writing's a job. And that's the way I treat it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not only did you work as a columnist, but you also wrote a humor column for
I was
your humorist.
I wrote it was allegedly a humor column that I wrote. I did 3 columns a week for 14 years at the Toronto Star. Trouble when you write humor in a newspaper, there's always someone who's going to think, well, that must be true, because in a paper, one time I wrote about, this is when that Russian satellite was still orbiting the Earth, and I said, places to send your kids for summer camp, why not send them to Mir Space Station camp? But if you do, dress them warmly and send them with a lot of duct tape, because there's holes in the hull, things falling apart. I swear to God, guy called in the next day, he said, you didn't put in a phone number.
Help us out here.
Can you call that a humor column if people just think, oh, I guess that's really true?
Is there some similarities between writing humor and writing suspense? Does one feed into the other? Because I think if you're writing something very suspenseful, sometimes your reader, the audience, they need a bit of a humorous break.
I think what the similarities are timing and sort of having a sense of, jokes rely on a good sense of timing, and suspense thrillers do too. You've got to give those jolts at sort of regular intervals to keep the readers engaged. So I think that's probably an apt kind of comparison.
Do you have the next one in the works?
I do. I have the next 2 in the works.
Look at you.
I got next 2 kind of in the works. At least I'm employed until 2028. And then I'll file for unemployment or something like that.
Yeah, right. Linwood's latest book, Not a Word, is available now. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.